All right, hello everybody. Today we're talking about GDP, which is gross domestic product. So GDP is the total market value of all goods and services produced within an economy within a certain period of time, usually a year, when looking at different countries. So GDP per capita is based on total GDP divided by the population. And you can measure it with either income, which would be the total income of everyone in the community, or expenditure, which is the sum of total spending on all domestically produced goods and services. So it's used as a measure of growth within an economy. So it's a helpful indicator on how well a country's economy is doing. However, it does not make it a measure of the well-being of a country's people. So some pros is that it's helpful at looking at the total goods and services bought within an economy or sold within an economy. So it shows how well a country's economy is growing and expanding. It also takes into account price changes and populations when you're looking at real GDP per capita. However, it doesn't take into account leisure time. So if you work 24/7, 7 days a week, then your GDP will increase, but your well-being will definitely fall behind there. Another main one I'd like to point out is inequality, income distribution. So if you have a few people who are really rich and everyone else is pretty poor, then your GDP will show a higher number than it should reflect based on how many people are and how their well-being is reflected. So let's look at an example here. So if we look at Mexico, it's number 71 on the list. So it's kind of the middleman here with a GDP per capita of $21,000. So it shouldn't be too high or too low, so they must be doing all right for themselves, right? That is not the case, however, where if you see the very first bar on our graph there is 50% of the population who has almost none of the country's money. So the upper half of the country has all of it. So they have over 130 million people, and they have 13 billionaires whose net worth alone between these 13 people is $136 billion. So clearly the top 1%, top 10%, they have all of the money within Mexico. So it shows a higher number than the well-being of everybody within the country. So if the bottom people are lacking, then the whole country is not doing well in terms of their population, but their GDP will represent a higher number. So to summarize, measuring GDP can be helpful in measuring the economic success of a country, but it may not reflect the overall well-being of its people. And then here are my sources. Thank you so much.